Hi, it's Pete Cohen here, and you join me at that time of the month again where we share with everyone and we announce our member of the month for the month of May. And that member of the month is Mandy. Mandy, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks, Pete.
Listen, congratulations on your success. I think you're a very worthy person who deserves this accolade. So tell me, how do you feel, and how did you feel when we announced it to you?
A bit shocked, actually. I'm very pleased, but I would probably say in the school of Mi365, I'm probably just on a B plus. So maybe didn't think I was that deserving of it. So I was very surprised when you called me. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we do is we watch pretty closely what's going on, and we see the journey that people are on. And there was a couple of things that really stood out for me. And one of those things, obviously, was you came to the mindset retreat. And I didn't know this, but you actually have a fear of driving on motorways, but spending 2 days surrounded by other My365ers, you seem to pluck up the courage and you drove home. Is that correct?
That is right. Yes, yes, I did. I still don't believe it now, really, but I did. Yes.
So tell me what actually, because we admire anyone that takes on a fear, especially a fear like that, because it can be such a challenging one to have. How long have you actually had that fear for?
I didn't pass my driving test until I was 36, so I've only been driving for 12 years. But I've never really been confident driving. It's a bit mad, really. I'm a bit of a petrol head. I'm a huge Formula One fan, so you'd think that I'd be driving everywhere. But although I'm all right driving places I know, I can't drive following instructions, or I can't drive to places that I'm not sure of. And motorways, to me, were just a massive fear. They were just too fast. There was no room for me to make a mistake if I made one. I just couldn't, and I just never went on one. I did a Pass Plus as well and did motorway driving, but that was just that one lesson, and I never did it since.
So what actually happened that made you think, right, I'm going to do this?
Um, I've always wanted to do it. I think, as you know, my dad was rushed into hospital the end of January, and he lives 3 hours away and about four motorway drives away in Kent, and it was becoming a bit difficult getting my partner to drop me off down there or getting public transport, which was fine until we got to the Easter holidays and they decided to throw in loads of engineering works and I couldn't get back. And it was very much sort of, if I could drive on motorways by my own, this wouldn't be a problem. I could just do it. I've got a new car. It's not going to break down on route or anything. So I think that was probably it. And now, obviously, my dad's he's not in failing health, but he's not in the best of health. It's very hard to, organise to get down there when really there's a car on the drive and I could just get in it and drive there. So that is probably was my motivation, really. And obviously reading what people have achieved on the group, you do start telling yourself, how hard can it be?
So was there something which actually happened on that, being on the mindset retreat, that just made you think, you know what, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, exactly that. It literally was just that. I think sort of being around people that had all got they've all got their own goals and their own dreams. And I just thought, if I can't do this, I'm never going to be able to do it. So it was just a case of, I'll do it. And I sort of held myself accountable on the group and said that I was going to try and do it. And I told my partner, when he came and picked me up from the mindset thing, sit in the passenger seat so that I come straight out and go into the driver's seat. And he worked out a route and we did it that way.
Wow, so it was almost like go, go, go. You were a Formula One driver as you were driving back. And how many miles was it back home?
About 162, and my partner said I think 15 of them was not motorway, and that was literally getting from the mindset retreat to the M23. So the rest of it was motorway.
That's absolutely fantastic. And have you driven any more since then on motorways?
Not yet, no, because obviously at the moment I have to wait for my partner to be with me and he's been working weekends, unfortunately. But I think we're going up to see his mum in Lincolnshire at the weekend, and that again is motorway, and I've said I will drive it. So
good for you. So tell me, how did you come across My365 in the first place?
It was sort of, well, probably around about July last year. Life was just pretty ordinary, and I suppose you sit there and you always want something more out of your life. You wish you was this, you wish you had that. And I got back to thinking about, I used to sort of follow you on GMTV many, many years ago. Couldn't remember your name, so I just Googled Life Coach GMTV, and it came up as Pete Cohen, and I thought, that's the guy, and looked into it, came across Mi365, listened to a few broadcasts, ordered the journal, and the rest, they say, is history.
So tell me, when you first started watching the live broadcasts, what did you think?
How could this be free? Was an initial thing. You know, what's the catch? Why is this chap giving up his time for nothing? You know, putting it out there on Facebook and everybody listening to it. So that was my first thing. But it was a case of, if I can follow that and I can do that, then why don't I? Because I'm getting all this information free when I want it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, obviously, one of the reasons I do it for free is I get to work with people like you who want to turn their lives around and achieve, great things. So tell me, what else have you achieved since you've been a Mi365 member?
Whoa, the biggest thing I achieved went sort of hand in hand with Confidence Week. I think that was in February sometime. Again, the problems with my dad, won't go into great details, but obviously there's a past there with my dad, and he was rushed into hospital in January with a potentially life-threatening thing. He had an aneurysm that was going to burst, but they managed to get it in time. And I think it was, I don't know, forgiving him and my mum for what happened in the past was a massive thing for me, as it was something I'd lived with for practically all my life. So that sort of spiraled on to doing the confidence karaoke thing that I did, that everyone was doing videos singing along. Yes. And it just went on and on and on from there. And I think the drive back from the retreat was almost like the pinnacle of Confidence Week. And so it's now got to a point where if I can do all that, then I can do anything. Bring it on. Wow. And it's a bit like that now.
So you're much more confident. You've addressed one of your major fears. I want to go back to something that you said in a moment. So what else have you achieved? Because it seems like you've also connected with a number of Mi365 members as well.
Oh yeah, I've made a lot of friends through Mi365. I went to the summit in September last year, and that was a bit daunting initially because, again, it's out of my comfort zone. It's not something I do. I think I was approached straight away by Peggy, who recognised me and I didn't recognise her, but then it all started from that, and you recognise people that you talk to on Facebook, and everyone just becomes friends, and you kind of know everybody's dreams, desires, and everything they go through, and it's just amazing. It's amazing.
So I want to just go back, because one of the things I've found from working with people is, and you've heard me mention this before, there's always a gap in life for everyone between where you are and where most people want to be. There's something they're working towards or something that they want, and often many people don't do anything about that, and that's where fear and worry and anger and regret live. What emotion do you think has played a part in your life that maybe now you've started to kind of let go and replace it with something else?
Oh, that's a tough one. Fear. I think fear of like you say, being uncomfortable, doing something that I would never have dreamed of doing before.
Yeah.
As I say, there's certain things that I've done that has taken a long time for me to do. As I say, not just my past, not just the motorway driving, just lots of things. I feel a much more stronger. I'm a really, really much stronger person since being with Mi365. I think I used to catastrophize everything, and I just don't do that anymore now. Yeah. I tend to, deal with it calmly and think, well, okay, this has happened. Well, deal with it that way. It's fine, and where before I'd sort of go into a blind panic probably, and I'm just not like that anymore. I'm much, much more calmer, and massively strong, massively strong.
Yeah, I can tell. The way you say it, it's like it's behind the word. You can hear your strength, and I'd love to know what you're going to do with that strength, because I know that there's a few things that you're now looking to do with your life and moving forwards. But I want to go back, because obviously there's part of your journey which I know is deeply personal, to you, and things have happened to you in your life. But it seems to me one of the hardest things that human beings ever do is to forgive. And it's a subject that I've written about before, and it's a subject I've spoken to people who are very close to me, who've experienced very traumatic things in their life. And I remember saying to one of them in particular, have you forgiven this person who, I was asking him about forgiveness. Would you forgive? Have you forgiven? And it was very interesting what he said. He said, yeah, I have forgiven this person for what they've done to me, but it's not that I'm forgetting. It's just that I don't want to live with that feeling of anger and hurt towards that person, because it's stopping me from living my life and being the person that I want to be. Is that something that you relate to?
Yeah, very much so. From what went on in my past, it did happen to my sister as well, and she's taken it a totally different way than I have, whether it's because she lives very close to my parents, I don't. So I don't see them as often as she does. So I was happier to live my life. It was always in the back of my mind. It was never something that ever, and it won't ever go away. But in my eyes, I was bigger than it, and I wasn't going to let it interfere with my life, getting married, bringing up my children. And so you learn to get on with it. I mean, things, when you see things on the telly or you read things, obviously it brings it all up. But I was bigger than that. And as I say, it wasn't until what happened to my dad in January that you do kind of think, actually, I would be quite upset if he died. And I didn't want him to die. And maybe a few years ago I would have done, but I don't now. And I'm very, very pleased that he survived what he did. And so, yeah, I have forgiven him because I'm bigger than it.
Yeah.
And you only have two parents, and it's just something that I live with. But I'm prepared to live with it without going on about it, sort of thing.
Well, it's fascinating that obviously, when you get to know people, you realize, wow, everyone's got a story to tell, and everyone's everyone, and obviously some things are far more traumatic than what some people have experienced. But I suppose what can happen to people can be the making of someone, or it can be the breaking of someone. And when I was studying psychology, one of the fascinating things that I studied was about twins or siblings that had, grew up in broken families, and how that affected one of them. Like one of them, it could send them to be a child of an alcoholic father. That one child could end up being an alcoholic, and the other child, the last thing they would ever do is drink. And I suppose that regardless of our conditioning, we always still have a choice. But one of the things, Mandy, I've noticed in you is that you seem to have made a shift that has allowed you to put some of the fear or worry or whatever it was, anger, and let something else take that place. And it seems like it's strength. You seem like now you just have a lot of strength. That now you want to manifest more. So what it's like you're entering into a new phase of your life, like Mandy 2.0. Is that right? I mean, is that how it seems to you?
It is now, as I say. I think, like I said before, I've done the motorway, I've sung on a video, what more can I do? So it's very much sort of what's the next challenge. Much as I've certainly not, just because I drove home from the retreat, it has not, conquered my fear of motorways by a long shot. And like you said, there's always another level. I've got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. I suppose with that, my next thing would be to drive down to my parents and just knock on their door and say, hi, I'm here, look, I've done it. I've driven all the way from Birmingham. But something else, again, and a lot of people on Mi365 know that I just want to be in Scotland. So it's just a case of, right, I've done the driving, I've done that. I now want to move to Scotland. And it's just now trying to try and get that straight in my head and try and work out how to do that and how to do that quickly. Although we've both got aging parents now, so it's not going to be easy to up sticks and move right to the top of Scotland. But it won't put us off, but it may delay things a bit.
Well, you've obviously got a very supportive husband, and that's important to have people in your life that support you and care for you. So you want to go and move to Scotland? We can all hold you accountable for that. And
oh, please do.
yeah,
Yes.
and what else? What else is next for you?
I don't know really. Just to continue to better myself. As I say, you always think there's something better out there. I do struggle with weight, as you know. I'm a bit of a yo-yo dieter. But when at the Mindset Academy we spoke to Dr. Matthew about the Ayurveda sort of way of life, and I've actually now started a course on that because it really sparked something in me, that what he was saying was something so very, very simple. It was a case of, well, why don't we all do this? It makes perfect sense to try and align, not use medicines to heal yourself, use food and lifestyle and what you do to heal yourself. So I've taken that on board, and I'm now studying that, and I'm finding it fascinating. So maybe I'm thinking sort of hand in hand with learning that, I can implement that into my life and maybe sort out my relationship with food that way.
Yes.
So that's probably short term is what I'm doing at the moment.
Well, you'll be very excited because we've got something coming out later this year, which is, I'm not going to say too much about that, but you might not need it at that point because it sounds like you're making great strides. And I love the shift that you're making around, forget weight. Let's focus on health. Yeah. Let's get healthy. And when we're healthy, our body will naturally function more effectively. Tell me, how important do you think it is to develop that learning and that growth mindset?
Very important. I think I'm very much sort of, I don't know, a bit of a Renaissance woman. I love learning about lots of different things. There's always something to learn. I read a lot. I've got a couple of courses on the go at the minute, which is something that I've got to work on, starting what I finish what I start, yeah. Which I'm not very good at, but as I say, that's something else. So I just think everybody needs to learn. What some people say is, you've got to keep active, otherwise your brain sort of dies off or whatever. But yeah. I just think people can learn at all ages, and it's never too, you're never too old to learn anything. So
I think that our brains are always looking to be fed, just like our bodies, but it's what we feed ourselves. And if we feed ourselves what's wrong and what's missing, we tend to manifest that. And if we feed our brains things that are inspiring, like, I don't know, willpower, confidence, self-belief, then we can manifest that. So I know you're a Mi365 Elite member. Just tell us, as far as that is concerned, what is it that you've embraced the most about being an Elite member?
Believe it or not, I think it's the extra content that you give us. I'm not up to date with the worksheets. I've not even started the wellbeing one yet, but the content there is giving us the chance to go much, much deeper into everything. And I think that will probably be the best thing I've taken from that, and the fact that the group is that much smaller, so you can keep in touch more with people with a smaller group. I mean, it's amazing how the main group has just completely blossomed into something massive, but it is hard, as people have said, to keep up with everyone. And I suppose sort of being elite, you just get more out of it than you do the main group, definitely.
Yeah, I think you've got to pick your champions, pick the people that you want to follow and let them follow you and build something together. But for me, Mandy, in summary, the reason we chose you is because, you're just like, you're a normal person just like me, an everyday person. We're not people who necessarily have won world records, not to say we still could, but you're someone who has embraced this opportunity that was given to you, for free, and you've taken advantage of it. And I know that this will be a milestone for you, because I get the feeling that becoming a member of the month for the merry month of May is going to give you even more of a boost to move forwards and be more of an example to other people about turning your life around, regardless of what's happened. And I'm delighted that you're a part of what we're doing, and I want to thank you and all the team at Mi365 to congratulate you for being member of the month for May. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's an honour. It is an honour to be part of such an amazing group, and as I say, to be member of the month is just amazing. Amazing.
Thank you. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you. All right then. Thank you.
Bye.